All right, hello everyone. It's been quite a bit since I've actually shared a Pokemon video with y'all. Um, the Battle League that I participated in earlier this year has started a season 2. And well, I really shouldn't say has started. It's been actually quite a while now. We're actually in our final week of the season, and I just have been really bad about doing and recording and reviewing my battles. So I apologize for that. Anyway, so I'm finally getting around to reviewing some of the battles that I've done. And this first one that I'm going to show you is the first battle that I had this season. It was actually a couple weeks ago now. And you can see here my opponent goes by the name Crocodile. And just as a note, this draft league that we're doing this season is a doubles league as opposed to the singles league that we did last time. A lot more out of my comfort zone. I did do some research before the season started, and I started playing with a doubles team just on the regular Showdown with OU ladder. Specifically, I tried to go with the Sun team, and started seeing what kind of archetypes there were on the doubles ladder. Because again, I've always been a singles battler up to this point. So there are certainly a lot of different weather archetypes that came out. I've seen like Expanding Force spam. I've seen some weird fling, follow me, psych up sets. And I've seen Trick Room sets. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do in doubles that you literally just do not have the mechanisms for in single. And to me, it's honestly quite chaotic. But again, you can still there are more archetypes, but once you kind of know what they are, it's just knowing how to manage. So these are the teams that I doubled. I'm Simoic here. Hopefully you can see my little cursor there. And yes, my opponent Crocodile, who also appeared in season 1. These are the teams that we ended up drafting. You can see from my team of 12 that I've drafted, I've gone with a bit of a Sun build. This is, again, what I built in Showdown just to kind of have at it before the season started. And also I've gone in with that sort of Trick Room setup. My opponent, I wasn't really sure, looking at their team, necessarily what kind of draft they had done. Oh, by the way, this egg, that's a Zarude. The website, this Pokecharm site, does not seem to have Zarude as an icon, but that is a Zarude. We were able to draft one mythic Pokemon per team this season, and any mythic Pokemon could have been picked twice. Honestly, I had a couple of ideas going into the draft, and I wanted to pick Mew, because you can use Mew on so many different archetypes. But 2 people picked it before me, so I wasn't able to do so, which is why I ended up going with Diancie as my mythic instead. So yeah, my opponent has Zarude, and there's not much to necessarily see as like what sort of archetypes my opponent might be using here. There's certainly a little bit of weather play going on with Alolan Ninetales and Hippowdon. Certainly they've got several Pokemon that can play off of Hippowdon's sand. They also have Swoobat, which does have Simple Beam, and a Como-O. I've seen, like, the very last battle I had before the season started, just the very last random battle that I had on Showdown, used a Como-O Swoobat Simple Beam setup. So that was in the back of my mind as I was trying to prepare for this, my first battle of Season 2 in this league. So what I ended up building was leaning to the Trick Room side of my team as opposed to the Sun side, largely because, again, my opponent has 2 different weather setters. It has a fair amount of like Fire and Grass resist as well, and they don't have a lot of speed control on their team. So I've got with Zarude, Ninetales, Como-O, Mamoswine, Stoutland, Swoobat, all of those are quicker. And even the ones that are kind of slower, there's no real fiddling around with him. Like, he doesn't have any Trick Room on his team itself. And the slower ones aren't super slow usually. I mean, obviously Charge-a-Bug is going to be very slow, and Wishy-Washy kind of is as well. But, Colossal, Magnezone, Hippowdon, even Marowak kind of have middling speed. So I went in to get a Trick Room set up here. So how did I build this? I've got my Diancie with Diamond Storm and Body Press. Then Diancie's one of my Trick Room setup users. I very much leaned in with the high defense on this build. I forget if I had planned that, if that's just trying to play off the Body Press. I think I just kind of sat with that, just in general, because Zarude is physical, Charge-a-Bug, Mamoswine, Marowak, Stoutland, Hippowdon, all physical stuff. And a fun build that I had learned, I didn't initially see, but what I had learned in some of my testing before the season, Weakness Policy. Very, very fun item in doubles. I've seen a lot of people pull it off with Fling, or like a very weak Sludge Beam, or other things like that. But you can get some craziness with Weakness Policy. So that's my Diancie. Next up, my Incineroar. Incineroar, I had very much intentionally drafted for two reasons. One, it's one of the best Pokemon in double, just in a general sense. Not necessarily something that fits well on any particular archetypes in doubles, but it's just all around good. Between Intimidate, Fake Out, Knock Off, it can learn Will-O-Wisp, it can learn Parting Shot. It's got good bulk, all around great doubles Pokemon, and I'm very glad I was able to draft it. Also, I actually I've had for a while plushies of both Diancie and Incineroar. So I've gone to a couple places and actually kind of posed with those two little stuffed Pokemon things. So I'm glad I got both of those on my team. Even though I wanted Mew initially, I'm glad I got Diancie and Incineroar. Now, as I said, I've made this as a Trick Room team, not only as a Sun team, but I've got my Torkoal on here, because Torkoal is a beast on Trick Room teams as well. I mean, look at how awful its speed is, and it can power up its own eruption. So if you let it protect and then get a Trick Room off, you can just start launching eruptions right off the bat that are massive power. Now, because I put the Protect on here, just to buy time to put Trick Room into play, that's why I have a Charcoal instead of like a Choice Specs. Let's see. Bronzong is next, another Trick Room setter, and then hella good with the flinching. Just all about that flinch. Obviously, I could have put Earthquake on Bronzong as well, but not the best move to have when you've got your kind of three leaders that are all weak to ground. Could help with Weakness Policy a bit, but just not the best idea. And if my opponent's, it's got the Magnezone there, and Marowak Alola, both of which would really not like an Earthquake, but I felt like Zen Headbutt and Iron Head would be a little bit more good. Reliable, and then there's, again, Rock Slide. Rock coverage is always good, and the extra flinching is a nice bonus. Finishing out this team, we've got my Mr. Mime with an Eviolite. Mr. Mime's not a great Pokemon to use Eviolite on. If you notice, I did draft Chansey. That's kind of like my main idea Eviolite Pokemon. But it still works out relatively well because Mr. Mime has a lot of moves that will help in doubles. On this particular set, you'll notice I put Follow Me, Trick Room, and Ally Switch. I've since learned that Follow Me and Ally Switch are kind of redundant to put on the same Pokemon, and Follow Me is almost always strictly a better move than Ally Switch is. But Dazzling Gleam for some spread and damage. Mr. Mime can also learn Helping Hand, Fake Out, other nice things for doubles. Doesn't necessarily have any very good abilities. It's got, Soundproof, which is kind of okay. Technician doesn't work with many of its moves aside from Fake Out. But it's there. So I put on Filters to try to, mitigate weaknesses and stuff like that. And last but not least, Araquanid. This particular build I've used as kind of just a strong physical attacker again. Really low speed would be great in just a Trick Room setup. And then just try to get as big a spread of moves as I could here. Leech Life will also help mitigate some of the Life Orb kickback. In other teams, I've tried to use Arachnid, particularly if I can put Arachnid on Sun teams as well, with Sticky Web. Great, again, speed control there. So Arachnid is something else that works on both my Sun team and my Trick Room team. And yeah, I've got, Incineroar works well, but Arachnid and Torkoal, great for dual teaming out of what I drafted. Alright, so that's the strategy that I've gone in with for this battle. And let's zoom in here, make this maybe a little bit easier to watch. So yeah, let's go in and see the first of my 2 battles against Crocodile. We're just going to normal here. Here we are. So the lead off, he comes immediately in with my tail. I'm try to deal with my Sun. Makes sense. And the way that I think about this is I'm worried that there's going to be some targets on Diancie, just because it's the mythical that we've got. So I'm going to use Protect on Diancie and Trick Room with the Bronzong. And you'll probably see why this is a problem pretty quickly here. If you get the Diamond Storm off, which is interesting, but already tells me that Mirror is slower than Diancie, and then in one hit takes out I did not use Protect on Pocket Girlfriend, I used Diamond Storm. I take that back. But I did not get my first attempt at Trick Room off. So I send out Mr. Mime and try again. This time follow me. Blizzard hits those, friendly, obviously. Boomerang probably targets my Diancie, and that would have been very bad if it had pulled it off. But the follow me helps. So sacrificing Mr. Mime to pull it off, and here comes the Eruption Farm. Now the problem with having done Eruption like this and do the double KO is that Pocket Girlfriend does not get off Diamond. Now, you notice I just switched out my Torkoal there. I probably could have gone in with another Eruption. I probably was, slow enough that Trick Room would have hit that first, and the Charcoal, I might have been able to take out that Hippowdon right off the bat. But I decided to try playing it safe instead with this Incineroar switch. And I guess more Diamond Storm. I really want to get my defense up and get it this time. Now, that targeted Torkoal, which actually wouldn't have been that bad for me. Torkoal does have a high defense, and I just wouldn't be able to use Eruption War. I would have to switch to Heat Wave. So I fake out Beefcake worrying about an Earthquake or something, they used, High Horsepower last turn. I probably didn't necessarily need to fake out because I already had double defense on Diancie. If it had wanted to target Diancie, things would have triggered pretty nicely. But the fake out is just there for, security. There we go. And then, interestingly, this looks like it's a support Stoutland instead of necessarily a strong physical attacker. But I get off another Diamond Storm, my defense buffs up all the more. Sandstorm takes it more out of it. Body Press gets rid of the High Horsepower, gets rid of the Incineroar. Trade off there. Now, they've sent out Como-O this time. And again, I've done a Trick Room team intentionally because I thought that most of my opponent's stuff would be faster. And certainly on this team with Stoutland, Como-O, Swoobat, and the Ninetales was pretty good thoughts. The Mirror was surprisingly slow, so that caught me a little off guard. Now, if you remember my team build, I did not put Play Rough on this Diancie, so I'm in a little bit of trouble here. I know that a Playing Soul is probably going, so you should see me here doing a liquidation on Como-O in an attempt to lower its defense and maybe make Pocket Girlfriend attack better. High Horsepower hits, triggers the weakness policy. I'm so glad. Oh, I get rid of the Beefcake first. Now that's next turn I use liquidation on the so now right now Diamond Storm should wreck most of what they got. I did not get the defense drop liquidation. And then a sash on the Swoobat. So it survives, unfortunately. And here's another thing. Now, if I have a defense drop a little too late, Diamond Storm misses Swoobat this time. So once again, I did not get that kill, and I lose my Arachnid. But now survived on that one item. What was it? Focus Sash. Pretty close battle there. Mostly worked out, even with some of the misplays I had, like on turn 1 and some of the other bad luck that I had. I didn't have much bad luck. Never mind. There wasn't a ton of bad luck aside from that Diamond Storm miss for the most part. So yeah, overall, relatively good battle there, I think. Ended up being pretty close. I'm down to 2. And one thing I've learned in this season with doubles is that, you know, just the nature of doubles, since you're fielding 2 attacks per turn instead of 1, you're much more likely to get things knocked out than you are in singles. It's a little bit more difficult to manage. As I said, chaotic stuff. But that's that. That's battle 1. Moving on then to battle number 2. I come in with the exact same team. My opponent has now switched out their Ninetales for their Charge Bug. They're probably onto me with the Trick Room stuff now. And again, we already knew Marowak was slow. Charger Bug's definitely going to be slow. We're going to see what happens next on battle 2. So, that's fast, normal. So they lead off with that combo that I mentioned earlier during season. Como-O and Swoobat. So I'm kind of expecting they could try to go for the Simple Beam Clanger Soul. I'm also a little worried they may try to fake me out and actually come in with some attacks. So just to be safe, I protect with my Torkoal. Didn't need to, probably would have been better to use an attack on this turn. But they do pull off the Simple Beam Clanger Soul, so Como-O is massively pumped up now. So you do see the eruption come off. I'm also using Rock Slide, hoping to get flinches. Not Rock Slide, that time, but again, flinch. I don't get it, my Torkoal goes down. And also now, the Swoobat's powered up, but again, I'm still on the Trick Room. I'm not too worried at the moment. Another Zen I'd like to be with Como-O, Diamond Storm Field, Swoobat. I don't get the defensive beach yet, which is unfortunate. Both of these guys are weak to rock, so I can just start spamming rock moves, and I actually get the double flinch on that rock slide. Even though Pocket Joker is now the slowest Pokemon team, naturally one of the fastest, I guess. That double flinch, like, completely changed that turn. Because otherwise Marowak would probably would have come in and kill my Guava like it did right there. But Dynasty gets off 2 more kills. We're sitting pretty here. No longer on the second game. Not too worried about that. High horsepower comes in. I've already got high defense, sets off that. I just do for the doubles. I do Dazzling Knee and then set up the Trick Room again so that I know I'm faster. Volume press is still there. Dazzling Knee didn't do much. The previous turn doesn't do much this turn either, but it's not too much of a worry for volume press. Much better battle this turn, even when I didn't take as much opportunity as I probably could have, especially on that first turn or so to get more damage in. But yeah, so even though Trick Room was the second archetype that I drafted, it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to come in with. Serves me very well here, and it's honestly served me pretty well in some of my other battles as well. I will be recording other videos in the near future, kind of to take apart how these battles go. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all later. Bye!